Welcome to the Inspired Riding Audio Summit. We're going to be talking about the benefits of intuition in the horse world. With me today is Kate Neligan. Kate is an equine-partnered coach, healer, and animal communicator whose life work is devoted to the human-animal bond. Kate pairs her intuitive gifts with those of the horses to help people access their own inner power and connect to their life purpose. Kate has been a best-selling author, TEDx speaker, corporate marketing VP, and Huffington Post writer. She has a master's in spiritual psychology and is certified in Equine Experiential Education. In equine coaching sessions, she facilitates life-changing transformation with horses and humans around the country. In animal communication sessions, she bridges humans and their beloved pets for conversations and healings that spark positive change. Kate, I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome. So let's dive right into the questions. I would love to know, what do you love most about working with horses?
I love everything about them. If I had to pick, I think I love how incredibly powerful and big and strong they are, and yet are still so gentle and kind and calm. So they blend these seemingly opposite ways of being into this beautiful package that I think that we all can learn a lot from, especially women, when they really blend their strength and their power with their kindness and their gentleness.
I love that so much. What's something a horse has taught you that has changed your perspective?
I think the biggest thing is the story I often share about this horse Felice that I had leased, who was really transformational in my life. And she taught me lead with love, which was very much about a time when I was still very much a go-getter, type A, overachiever. It was very much about task. I was very attached to outcome. And I had an exercise that I was doing on the ground with her to really learn this whole experiential education with horses. And I kind of had a breakdown to break through when I realized, I heard her actually say to me, lead with love. And it really shifted everything in my life to put relationship and enjoyment of being with another before the task and the outcome, and to really surrender and let go of that, because it would feel better if we lead with love. And that's really the way of the horse.
Oh, I got full on chills with that one. So beautiful. So let's dive into ideas about intuition. How has your intuition helped you when interacting with horses or clients?
I feel like that is my superpower, is my intuition. And I always had a really strong intuition as a kid. I was clairaudient, like I heard voices, but I thought it was nuts, and I shut it down for such a long time. But now I feel like I mean, the animal communication, which is a form of intuition, to hear what the horses are saying to me and to clients is super powerful in sessions, because I'm not just reading a horse's body language. I'm actually working with them in communication, in relationship, through what they're actually saying to a client, like he or she might need, or he or she is, or like even just like they'll say things that blow my mind, like a mantra, and I'll repeat it. And a client's like, that's what I use in my own meditation in the morning, and both with the goats and the horses that I work with. And so I just think the intuition is all of our superpowers, that if we really connect with it, we will ultimately save a lot of time, a lot of money. We'll avoid major potential pitfalls and challenges if we actually listen to the guidance, and we can go deeper faster, right? Because we actually know what the core issue is. So even when I'm coaching without horses and I'm doing virtual phone work, I'm hearing words and I'm feeling and sensing things about a client, even, at a distance over the phone, because I'm working so strongly with my intuition. And I just have a daily practice with my intuition. I used to call it my conscious rock star, which is what I created my coaching business. My first brand really in my coaching business around was being with my intuition and helping others get in touch with theirs.
That's fantastic. I'd love to hear more about what shifted you from when you shut it down to then opened back up to it.
I think it was a gradual process. I mean, I was an atheist. I was a scientist. I wanted to be a veterinarian and do pre-med. So for me, it was, you had to prove everything to me. And it was really, I think, out of a place of probably being somewhat afraid of it and not, it never really being accepted. I don't know if I knew other people were intuitive. My mom always says she's not intuitive, but she really is. So I just think it wasn't really accepted growing up in New Jersey and, in my family. And so I sort of opened up over time when I went and got my spiritual psychology master's. They really encourage you to get in touch with it. We actually had a centering before anything we did, which is, I get out of my way and I get into this space inside where I invoke, they called it an inner counselor. I invoke my inner counselor. And so that's when I named her and I started a relationship with her. And they actually had a whole process where they do self-counselings at my master's program where you are writing to your intuition and she's answering questions and you're having full on dialogue. And it's the higher self. It's this loving part of us that has our back all the time. It's truly my best friend. And so I just had a practice where I developed it over time. And there's times when I feel like I'll have a break from it. Like I'll have, there's like a challenge in the relationship, but then I do things to reboot that connection, like being in nature, or journaling or, setting intentions, meditation, prayer, all those things to get me back to it. But yeah, I came back at a time when I think I was ready for it and in a way where it was encouraged and I was given permission. And I think that's the big thing is we need to give ourselves permission or be around people who give us permission to tap into the intuition more, right?
That's exactly why I'm doing this summit, because I want to encourage more people and let them know that they can feel supported and it's not such a weird thing, that we all have this power within. And it's so cool that you talk about journaling and having conversations with your inner self, your higher self. That's pretty much what I do every morning. I call it my inner guidance journal. And my higher self and my angel guides are always giving me really specific advice every morning. And it's so useful. It's very, very fun to do. And
it's
I encourage people to do it.
Practical, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So practical. Yeah.
Thank you for explaining that. I think that's going to help a lot of people too.
Yeah. And we all have our intuition come differently based, I think, on what our primary sense is. Like I am clairaudient. And so I get a lot of information I hear. And again, like in fourth grade, I was hearing voices and they thought it was just stress, but I'm sure I was hearing my guides or I was hearing other people. I've also been called a mirror empath. So I pick up people's stuff and show it back to them pretty quickly, which is kind of what the horses do too. But I'm growing now. Like I feel more clairvoyant now. Like I can see things, which I never could before. So I think we have one top dominant one of the clairs and the intuitive gifts, and then we grow them over time. Really kind of for me, it's just their intention and practice, just like anything. If you go to the gym every day, your body's going to stay in a great place with maintenance, right? It's the same with our intuition.
Absolutely. And it's so good to keep experimenting, and practice really does help. I mean, I literally woke up this morning and went, I want to feel more. So I just been feeling the bottoms of my feet all day, and that's been really helpful. So if you just like wake up with a specific intention, like you said, it helps so much.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear if you have a transformation story that occurred as a direct result of trusting your intuition, either with yourself, a horse, or another person you were helping.
My favorite of all time is I was leaving the ranch in Malibu where I was working at the time years ago, about 12 years ago. And my intuition came through and said, go to Subway, right? The restaurant, the Subway sandwich place. And because I was hungry. It was like dinner time or it was lunchtime. And I said, no, I don't want Subway. I think I'm going to go to this place or this place. And I'm arguing in my intuitive voice and go to Subway. And I'm like, no, like, don't tell me what to do. Like I was in that place. Right. And then they said it one more time, go to Subway. So as I am driving on the way home, I'm about to pull into the shopping center that has Subway in it. And I see the sign that says cat adoptions today. And I pull into this big shopping center and I'm like, whatever. It's not like there's going to be an orange tabby, because I saw, talk about clairvoyance, I had seen an orange tabby for years that was going to come to me. He was on my vision board, everything. And I just knew that that's what I wanted. So I pull in, and right in front of Subway in this like large shopping center is a foster group with kittens. And there's a cart, and right in there is an orange tabby kitten. And he looks at me, and I put him on my lap, and he didn't leave. And even the foster lady's like, I've never seen a cat just sit there and like claim someone. And he stared into my eyes, and I was like, okay. And then a dog came over, and he even got scared, and I like protected him, but he still didn't leave. Like, he was just like, I'm home, take me home. And it's funny because I remember I called my mom and I was like, oh, but there's another one in there that doesn't have a tail and no one wants that one. And like, I should take that one. And it was just so beautiful because we're so guided. So I knew the orange tabby was my cat. But then I went to book club, which I almost wasn't going to go to a few days later. And they were all like, Kate, you work. I was working in corporate at the time. You work all the time. Like, you need to have two. You can't just get one. So I wrote the foster group and I said, bring the other one that's still there. And it was the one without a tail. And she said, he's a really special cat. If you don't want him, we'll keep him. But within 24 hours, he just looked into my soul. And I'm like, yeah, you're, and he was best friends with his brother, the orange tabby. So hence, that's how I got my two cats in 2011, and just totally, thank God my intuition delivered them that way. And so now I always say that. I said, bring me opportunities the way you brought me my kitties, so it was just so beautiful. And I was so guided, and I just had to stay open. Right. And that's what we have to do. We have to listen, even if we don't understand it or like it, we still have to follow the prompts.
Oh, that's gorgeous. I'm so happy that you finally complied and went to Subway.
I know.
I bet your kitties are extra happy you did that too.
It was fun. It definitely was fun.
Yeah, but I totally understand what you mean. I just recently had a moment where my intuition said, you're not going to your training session today to go work with the pony I usually work with. And I was like, but I feel fine. I really want to go. I don't understand. And then like 2 minutes later, I got this wave of nauseousness, and my whole body's like, you are not going. I'm like, okay. So I'm listening now. It is very clear when there's a clear no and a clear yes. And so I'm like, okay, I will not mess about, because when I ignore it is usually when I end up having an accident. So I was very grateful that my client was very cool about it. She said, yeah, just take care of yourself. And the next session was wonderful. So there must have been something in the air. Perhaps there was going to be some weird accident on the road or something with the pony. Who knows? But in any case, it's just so important to really tune in and feel what your body is trying to tell you. And
100%
practice that.
And I had a story recently where I was with this woman at this doctor's office, and she said her guidance told her, do not pick up that box and bring it. She was going to go bring it outside. And she's like, no, I'm fine. She did it. She really hurt her arm, and it's been over a year's journey to get her son. She goes, they told me not to pick it up, and I did it anyways. And even though she's had some pain from that, like physical and all that, I guarantee you she's not going to override her intuition again, right? So let us be like a nice soft warning. Don't override your intuition. I did it about a month ago, and I went out and I had muscle tested. That's another way I play with my intuition, right, not to go, and kind of got not to go. And I went, and then 3 days later, I got sick, and I had a cold for 2 weeks, and I don't usually get colds. So I wasn't supposed to go out that night, and I did anyways. And, luckily that wasn't a big, hard lesson, but it was a reminder, like, yeah, I'm too aware now to ignore my intuition. Right.
Exactly. It's like there's no excuse anymore when you've gotten to a certain level and you go backwards, then it's almost like the lessons get really hard. So unfortunately,
we can ask for our lessons with grace and ease, which is what I do too. I always say that to my clients, like, always ask that you will, like, always tell the universe you will learn and you're listening, and to please bring your lessons with grace and ease, because I always say that to my guides. I'm like, I'm here, I'm going to learn, I'm going to listen. I might make mistakes, but please just grace and ease. And they usually do. I mean, like, knock on wood,
That's such a good
like
point. We have the power to dial in how it is brought to us. So thank you for that.
Yes.
So my next question, Kate, what lights you up and inspires you immensely in the horse world?
Oh gosh, it's such a good question. I think the force of change that's going on right now that people like yourself and myself and people on the summit are bringing, and people listening are bringing to the entire industry, which is that we don't need to do power over horses at all anymore. It is 100% about being in a place with them from energy and from connection and relationship and partnership and them being equals. That is that's coming forward. And I will say that the people that I follow are really in their feminine energy. They're doing really beautiful, goddess-based work with horses where they are asking horses to say yes before they ride, right? Like there's a whole permission movement. The R+ positive reinforcement movement lights me up. I just tuned into positive reinforcement in the last 2 years. The fact that some of us are talking about horses doing energy work and are starting to see the deeper spiritual gifts of the horses, that lights me up. So I just, when I get a little disgruntled, how is this person still the lead presenter at this expo? That person is ancient in this world. We need new blood. I go, and then someone like you does a summit like this, and I'm like, yep. Sometimes it's the younger. It may not be those of us with the biggest followings, but it is those of us that are really we are the trailblazers, and we get that there's a whole new way of being with horses that we need to be a voice for.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you, Kate. That's awesome. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm glad that you're one of these beautiful voices for the horses.
I try my best. Thank you.
You're welcome. What do you wish everyone would do when it comes to their horse time?
I wish, and I know that our horses want us to just be and breathe with them and do nothing else and do our best to get silent and quiet. You can call that meditation. You can call that breathing. You can call that just standing there and doing nothing and being. It doesn't really matter, but I did it last night. I had done a bunch of chores and the snowflakes were falling and they were big. And I have not been enjoying the snow this winter, to be really transparent. But I stood there with both of my girls and they were almost touching noses, and they don't share space like that or territory like that often. And I just stood there and the two of them, and I was about to leave and I felt invited in, and I just stood between them. So we were in a pyramid, and I just breathed and I did my best to get my thoughts to nothing. And I just watched the snow, and I'm like, it's so beautiful. And both my girls shut their eyes and could sleep because I was in some sentinel awareness mode. And I heard, and that's where we get all the juicy stuff that we can write about or share about or have improve our lives. But I got, in the nothingness, everything is found. And I went, that's really profound, right? That I don't need to seek for things, that it's all already there if I'm willing to just be quiet and go back to the void, which is the point. In my spiritual teachings, it's the point of creation, and the point of destruction is the void, where there's the nothingness. So we need to practice with it. So I would encourage everyone to just be with their horses, even if it's 5 minutes. And it made me uncomfortable at first because we're so used to doing with horses. All of us, we grew up that way. But there's a game changer when we can just stand and breathe, because that's how horses are with each other, right? They just stand with each other and they be. And so there's so much there, and it's so powerful and profound. And it took me a while to get there in my own equestrian life, but I'm there now and I'm grateful for it. And I encourage people to do that.
That is so beautiful. I love those moments as well. It really is. It's almost inexplicable when you're in that moment of just being. And yeah, that's where everything is. That's where the magic is.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. What a world it would be if everyone did that with their horses.
And also with each other, right? Like, I feel like the best relationships are the people that can sit on the couch and just do nothing with each other, right? And enjoy each other's company, because that, right, like, it takes all of the pressure off, and like, we're human beings, of course, not human doings. So yeah, I think there's so much there for parents to do with kids, and for us to do with our animals, and for partners to do with each other. And
yep. And that's the first
it's
principle.
uncomfortable.
That's my first principle in inspired riding is slow down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
But no, it's true. If we did it more with people, I find just sitting on the couch with Charlie is one of my favorite things, just hanging out. And
Yeah.
our puppies hang out there. We call it family time, and we just love it. And I get scolded if I work too hard from one of my puppies. She just starts barking at me like, it's family time. You need to come sit on the couch now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Right. Because that's where, like, those are the moments we take with us, I think, when we leave this earthly plane, like, is all those moments of connection. And, we're not going to take all the other stuff that we've, like, achieved. Right. But those heart opening moments and the moments of connection, we will. So the animals are always there to say, this is available anytime you want it. You just need to step into it.
I love that. It's like if we're all strings of light connected to the universal web, and anytime we're there just being, it's like that vibration can be seen and vibrate even higher. And then that's what helps connect us to everything. And it's an amazing feeling.
Yeah. Well, that's a great visual for it, for sure. 100%. Yeah. Well, and also, like, that's where all the nervous system goodness is too, right? Like, and the animals are always reminding us, like, hey, let's value parasympathetic more, right? And like, it's such a game changer and it takes 5 minutes. Like, I have my clients now just do a minute of centering before we begin a call, because I'm like, this is all it takes for you to shift out of that mental space and the fight, flight, or freeze and back into your true being, your center.
It's beautiful. Yeah, that's just like the mounting block ritual I have people do, is just get grounded, get connected to your body, scan it, and then send love and appreciation to your horse, to yourself for being able to ride and being able to connect in that way. And yeah, it's amazing. And it's just like what you do with heart math, where you place your hand on your heart and you just breathe there and get connected from there. I think it's just phenomenal.
There's so many tips and tools that are quick that can be game changers for people completely,
So what's one piece of advice that you'd give your younger self for encouragement?
I did this the other night in, like, a salt bath. I went back to my 28-year-old self who was having a hard time in a relationship. And I just said, you did the best you could at that time with the awareness and the tools and the resources you had. Now you know better. You would choose differently. Like, she chose a guy that I would never today choose. Right. But I went there and I just said, like, we don't need to beat ourselves up about this anymore. We don't need to feel bad about it. We've learned the lesson that we needed to learn. So, I love the inner child work, but like, the biggest game changer for me in my entire personal development journey was in my early 20s reading Louise Hay's You Can Change Your Life. I know you're a Louise Hay fan, and like, that whole part of that book around personal responsibility, which is everyone is doing the best they can with the information, resources, and stuff they have available to them at the time. So to realize that, and I've let a lot of people kind of off the hook with that, and that's allowed me to do a lot of forgiveness work. So I think ultimately I like to go back to the parts that still feel a little wonky. Wonky's been my new favorite word lately. And just say, like, hey, it's okay. You were doing the best you can. Or like, I go back to like, when I lost my horse and how traumatized, I was at that age. I just go back and I just sit with her the way I'd want anyone to sit with me, and just like brush my hair, or like, touch my hair and my face and be like, I'm here 1,000% for you. Like, feel anything you need to feel. Like, it's okay. You know, like you are in a trauma moment, but you are here with support. So I like to do that. I like to go back, especially to the harder times, and just be there for myself.
That's so sweet. I just got teary-eyed from that. I love it. It's being so extra kind and supportive and giving yourself grace.
Oh, yeah. Because when we're in it, like we're in fight, flight, or freeze, right? And we don't even necessarily see the support around us, but my course was wild. She literally had like people showing up out of the woodwork minutes before she was going to be put down. Like, I don't even know how she did it. Like, she sent some signal out to her network, and randomly people were walking by, and so there was like a lot of support there for her and for me. But ultimately I needed to go through that with just her, and I asked everyone to leave. But now I go back and I have myself today, my more awake, aware self today, and my higher self go and sit with her. So she has that there. Because honestly, Beth, in my experience, like no one can really support us at the highest level the way we can support ourselves, or the way our intuition, our highest loving self, can actually support us, right? Because we know exactly what it is we need to hear, want to hear, feel, see, the touch we need, all of that. And it's so hard to like ask someone for that. And you can have a partner that really gets you, and that's a huge gift. But ultimately, like, we go to bed and wake up in the morning inside of our own shells, bodies, awareness. And so like we have to learn to do it for ourselves, right?
Absolutely. And that's a huge factor, especially in the hypnotherapy sessions that I do. And we do the inner child work, and then we always ask, what's any praise that you've ever wanted to hear, needed to hear, been waiting to hear your entire life? Just say it out loud now. So if we did that for ourselves all the time, like I high-five myself in the mirror after, listening to the high five habit with Mel Robbins, and I just go, you're doing amazing. And then I get that little sparkle in my eyes again, like, yeah, I've got this. Just keep going, girl. And it's the best feeling when you can be your own cheerleader and be your own support system. Yeah.
That's been coming in so much from my guides lately, is more self-acknowledgement, both for myself and my clients. So I love that you do that, because we do. I sometimes am there to comfort myself. Like, I've gotten really good at comfort and self-soothing, but I need to get a little bit better at self-acknowledgement and like cheerleading and all of that. I don't know. I never had a lot of words of affirmation as a kid, and it's my love language of the 5 love languages. So I need it more, and I can feel it when I'm not getting it. And I can feel like if I'm seeking it, or I'm trying to people please, or if I'm taking things personally, it's just a signpost that I need to give it to myself. Right. So.
Yes. Let's do more of that. Everyone, let's go.
Well, I'm high-fiving you right now because you're doing the summit and you're stepping out into a new thing. And I love it. It's awesome.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm high-fiving you for doing this with me. So thank you.
Thank you for that.
Okay. So here's a cool one. What does the phrase, "May the horse be with you always," mean to you?
So I think you and I are the only ones in the industry that I've ever heard use it. And I was using it in like 2016 or 17 before I met you. And then when I saw you use it, I'm like, yeah, someone else gets it. You added the word always, which I think is so awesome. And I had heard "May the horse be with you" through the whole Star Wars, "May the force be with you." But then you added always, and I'm like, that's so nice. Like, that's the infinity loop. That's the like horses with you, even if they're not physically with you. So what it means to me is that it is like the force, the actual energy of horse medicine and horsepower that is in you, right? And for me, I most days feel more horse-like than human-like these days because I spend more time with them. But I also really think it's about knowing that they're there for us. So I have a heaven herd, where the horse ancestors are there as well. And the heaven herd, I think I have like 18 horses that I've worked with or loved in the heaven herd. So I talk to them all the time, and I know they're always with me, and like fun stuff will happen. Like I'll be in a massage session and someone's like, "There's a horse in the room." And I'm like, "Yeah, of course there is." Like, so it's that kind of thing. May the horse be with you always, because if they're always with you, you're always getting the heart coherence, and that gut power and that presence, and like you're always getting the medicine. So it's very much like if nature is always with you, you're always getting her medicine as well. I'm a big fan of bringing nature into your house, like, and how can you do that? But ultimately, yeah, it's like letting that horse, the spirit horse, whatever you want to call it, I call it heaven, herd, and horse ancestors, be with you. And my horse Phoenix, like I went and I did a healing chamber the other day that I love called the Harmonic Egg. And as soon as I closed my eyes and the music came on, my horse Phoenix, who's alive, you know, here on earth, put her third eye right up to my third eye. Oh. And then she sat next to me and her face became my face. And the awareness was, what if I could reach a level where people saw me the way they see the horses? Who would I have to become to be someone where people saw me as special as they see the horse? Because people are always like, horses, right? What if I could be like that? And I'm not there yet, Beth, no way. But like, I had that awareness that she brought in, and she, you know, so they are always with us. They really are. And it's just a matter of like, but the more we pray for that for ourselves and for others, or set that intention, I think the more we can feel it too.
Oh, I love that so much. And I think I want to start changing my perspective for every living being that I love. Send that energy to them like, oh, horse. And then it can come back, right? So you have that.
Totally.
That beautiful.
Clients find me because they're like, I was in a session and someone told me I need the horses, or I dream about horses. Like, so the horses are activating people if they need equine assisted coaching or psychotherapy, or the horses are always, or even I find with the animal communication sessions, people are like, my horse feels like they need to talk to you. I'm like, yeah, well, because my network is open, that I'm here to help them. And I always say that, like, I work for the horses. So, you know, they find me and people find me based on their connection to horse.
Yeah, it's amazing how they work their magic. It really is. Kate, tell me about your new project.
So the two newest is really the Awakening with Equines card deck. So there's 40 cards that were designed by Nika Ware, who's this incredible artist that just gets the horses on a very deep spiritual level. And I gave her photos of either me or clients with different horses over the years. And she drew from that and was inspired from that. And there's 40 different wisdom qualities that I feel like the horses are teaching. So like kindness is one of them. And then I basically wrote a booklet and I channeled what the horses wanted to say about kindness. And I thought that's all it was going to be. And then they said, nope, we want you to put down what you think about kindness based on your work as a coach. And then they wanted an exercise or activity that people could do with their own horse or on their own. And again, you don't have to be with a horse. You could visualize a lot of them. But ultimately, it's to grow the human horse heart connection. So the horses asked me to do this years ago. They said, I was just one day at my desk and they said, write down the things we teach. And I just wrote down a bunch of qualities really fast. And then they picked 40, and then different horses came in and wanted to be in the deck. The deck took a while because a horse passed, and then he asked to be in the deck right after he passed. So it was really an unfolding of it. But I had always wanted to do a deck because, again, for intuition and oracle purposes, decks can help grow that, right? They're a tool to get us into our intuition, and just the intention of focusing on art and words can activate our own guidance systems. So it is for an intuitive tool to have the deck. And then the horses also asked me to create a certification program to teach essentially 3 different curriculum modules under the Awakening with Equines name for those who want to become equine-partnered coaches or those who already are but want to take it to the next level. And that first curriculum is really spiritual psychology tools. And there's a whole class on developing intuition. And then the whole second module is all on animal communication and the human-animal bond. So really learning how to best understand horses and hear them and be with them in the healing and coaching environment. And then the third is marketing and business development, because as you know, we have to put ourselves out there and share our stories and all of that for people to find us and for, to be of greater service. So that's the other program. So that's all been in the last year to 2 years that's unfolded.
I love that so much. Oh, I'm so excited for all of this, Kate. I'm especially excited for the cards because I know they're coming here soon.
Yes, you'll have them really soon.
Well, Kate, thank you so much for spending time with me today, and I really appreciate all of your insights.
Thank you so much for doing this. I'm excited to hear everyone else's presentations too.
Oh, yes. I love how they're all unfolding, and there's some very common things that people are saying. So it's pretty neat to see the common threads, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I will close us out. As I always say, may the horse be with you always.